The idea behind Cartesi was to not reinvent the wheel. What if we could bring all the technology, all the know-how, all that we always did in the past on Web 2, all of those 50, 70 years of development that we had on Web 2, and bring this to Web 3 organically without having to rebuild everything from scratch?
Hey, GM folks. Today I'm joined by Joao Garcia from Cartesi, a project bringing Linux to rollups and pushing the frontier of verifiable compute. Basically, Cartesi allows developers to build app-chain rollups using any code while leveraging Ethereum security. This is BlockHunters Voices, the podcast with cool keys from the blockchain space. I'm Akim Puj, your host. Great to have you, Joao. How are you, mate?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure, man. Always keen to meet new people in the space and connect and have meaningful conversations.
Yeah, it's a joy. Love having these conversations. I used to have my own podcast, so I know it's a blast.
What did happen with it? You don't have any more time, or
we're just hitting a pause right now because we are doing this laser focused approach right now on Cartesi. So right now, I stopped talking a little bit with too many other protocols and interviewing too many other protocols, and I'm just doing special edition episodes, so it's not more a regular bi-weekly thing. But it's still
sense.
a video series in itself that's going on.
Makes sense. So, Joe, I want to know a little bit about you. I mean, I always say like there are two kinds of people in Web3. The people that are, let's say, after 40 years old, more like millennials. So basically, crypto didn't exist at some point, so they had like other jobs, they had other dreams, their hopes, and people that were born into crypto and straight out of high school or straight out of college, everything is crypto for them. So I'm curious, what did you do before Web3 and how did you ended up falling down the rabbit hole?
I think I've heard of crypto the first time when I was probably 22 or some 20 or 22. So I would say I'm probably in the first type, maybe. And I remember the hype that my friends got diving into Bitcoin, diving into Ethereum, what was happening, this whole innovation, how it was everything so different. I was doing an internship at Apple with some friends back then, and there were two of them that were really diving heads first into crypto, right? And I took a long while to find myself really interested in the community, in the ecosystem as a whole. My first opinion was, okay, this is something cool, but it's something that will be of assistance and not necessarily the future. And I was absolutely wrong there. But I ended up
Like most folks.
like most folks, exactly. I ended up in a regular Web 2 development, found myself in a consulting company for energy, developing solutions for the energy sector. And one of the solutions I had to develop was a Web3 solution for green energy tokenization, right? So I immediately called these friends of mine that actually knew what this was all about, and then the bug bites. When the bug bites, you have no way to escape. So I ended up really liking it, finding the technology amazing, finding the concepts behind it unreal. So I started to rethink all my career around crypto because I found that was something really cool that I could do and I could contribute in this new emerging space.
Was that hard to make this kind of pivot in your life? I mean, I know from my example, it wasn't really that hard. My background is more like in media, cinema. So in this, even though I'm not tech, so I did tech back then, so it's more aligned. It's kind of the same because it's still a high stress environment. It's not for the weak heart, so it's not like a 9 to 5. So was it hard to do this kind of pivot, 180 in your life?
I don't think so. I think I had, and I still have, very good people to guide me and show me the way, right? I think I was lucky to know some guys that got in real soon, and they knew the path, so they could actually show me the path. I also had, as you said, a technical background, which really helps because just by reading, I could understand so much of what was going on. And it was a smooth transition. As I mentioned, I started working on a Web2 company where I started learning about Web3 before actually pivoting to Web3. So it was not just a day that I have to completely pivot and do a 180-degree change. It was a very smooth curve.
And how did you ended up working with Cartesi?
So one of these friends of mine that knew a lot about crypto was working in Cartesi, and he always thought that I like speaking a little bit way too much. So he said, "Well, there is an opening on developer relations that I think we could use some of your profile, right?" Um, so as I was already getting into crypto as a whole, I just went to rock climbing with him, and we started talking about career goals. We started talking about every different thing that we were doing, and he said, I think you need something new, and I need someone who's just like you. So what do you say? Do you want to try? So that was it. I found myself in Cartesi out of suddenly, and from there it was a blast. As DevRel to leading the unit, it's been a nice journey.
Yeah, I mean, I have so much respect for devs in general, and that's because they are a mix of technical guys in BD. So usually the BD doesn't know shit about technical, like deep dive technical, but they are good on sales. But the technical guy usually is more shy, doesn't really want to talk with anybody. Why do I gotta get on this call? But the DevRel has the both upsides. He likes to speak, he's a good technical guy, he likes to show people around. So it's a fascinating breed.
Yeah, exactly. It's really cool when you're able to actually do a bridge, when you can actually link two people that have completely different profiles and make them finally be able to understand each other, right? So I love talking to our guys from BD. Personally, in my side, the BD guys from Cartesi were always very technical oriented as well. So the conversation was always very easy in this alignment. But it's still always an adventure when the technicalities get very, very deep, and then you have to take a step back and actually explain everything that's going on.
Yeah, and also the BD needs to explain to people that maybe don't have any kind of technical background in simple terms so they can understand.
Exactly. It's a very smooth transition from the core technical team to the DevRel to the BD to the users to
Exactly.
that's how it happens.
So you ended up in Cartesi. Tell me, what was the original thesis behind Cartesi, and what exactly is Cartesi for the folks out there that didn't know about it?
I think the idea behind Cartesi was to not reinvent the wheel. What if we could bring all the technology, all the know-how, all that we always did in the past on Web2, all of those 50, 70 years of development that we had on Web2, and bring this to Web3 organically without having to rebuild everything from scratch? What if we could use the same languages? What if we could use the same libraries? What if we could use the same resources, the same tools that we use to create applications on Web2? The things that were tried, tested, and just bring them to Web3. So Cartesi was born out of this idea. And what Cartesi is right now is, in my opinion, of course, the best execution environment for Web3. We created this virtual machine not to replace, but to work seamlessly in tandem with the EVM, which is the Ethereum virtual machine, to help Ethereum to scale, right? And any EVM-based blockchain. So it communicates with smart contracts that are on the base layer. And this execution environment is basically a Linux that is verifiable. So anyone that's running these Cartesi machines can verify the designated applications. And these applications can do so much more because they have a full processor for them, right? This means they can do lots of complex computations. And by having Linux, you can use so many things that are ready already. It's much easier for you to calculate a logarithm, which people don't seem to realize you have to use a lot when talking about computer science. It's much easier to calculate it using it JavaScript, Python, Go, Rust, than actually using Solidity, which is what Ethereum uses by default. So we created this whole machine to be able to empower developers to do whatever they want.
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, especially because the developers, we don't have so many developers in Web3, and they are scattered and fragmented by different programming languages. So I think this is something that can solve, actually people bringing new people and actually building on Ethereum, on EVM. And I know from you that you also work on the fraud-proof systems.
Yeah. So the solution that Cartesi did, the solution that Cartesi built, works as an optimistic rollup, right? So because we had this virtual machine, we had this execution environment, and it works off-chain. So you have to think, okay, how does it relay? How does it send data claims back to the base layer, to where it's running, right? So you need a mechanism, which is either a validity proof or a fraud proof. You need a proof system, right? And Cartesi, as it has a very specific structure that works around app chains, that means creating small chains that are designated to run one specific app alone. It needs a very specific fraud-proof system. It needs a fraud-proof that attends to its requirements. So right now, Cartesi just launched the PRT, which is called the permissionless referee tournaments. So it was a great advancement in terms of research of the quality of a fraud-proof system, which is really, really nice, to be honest. It works in a very funny way. Can I take a minute to explain it?
Yes, of course, please.
So
I mean, that's the goal. Yeah.
Think many people disagree on the computation result, right? So they have to settle this. What we do is we organize all these claims in a tournament. So one honest claim does not have to beat every other claim in the world to be able to say, hey, I'm the correct one. As you organize in a tournament, if you have two false claims battling each other, one of them will be eliminated already, right? But at the same time, we also have a very smart way of finding out which one is the honest, which is calculating the computation. We basically record the computation in a very smart way, which is using Merkle trees. It's a whole technical thing. But what we do is we compare the steps of the computation. And when it differs, then we can process just in the blockchain, just that one small step to see who's actually right. So this way, the correct claim that is trying to settle is gonna beat a small number of false claims while the other false claims beat each other, right? And there are many intrinsities there. Like once you have two claims that are false, you are basically making someone that's trying to create an attack have to eliminate itself on the attack. So they need to have such a huge cost that you end up needing not that the idea is that not even a full nation state would be able to attack your application and make it possible for someone to hack it or to crack it, right?
That's a very intelligent way.
Exactly. So you scale because you organize in a logarithm time this tournament. You need basically an exponential number of resources to be able to attack someone. So it gets basically impossible at some point, which is very, very nice.
And is this feature live or are you working on it?
So the PRT, we have a first version of it, which is live in an application called the Honeypot, which is actually used to test the integrity and the security of the system, right? We deposit some assets there. Whoever tries to hack it and is able to hack it actually get the resources that are the assets that are deposited there. And the thing is, what we had to do right now is a version specific for that, and we are developing our reference tooling to have that included. So the idea is having, by the end of the trimester, a first alpha for everyone to be able to develop and deploy applications using it, and maybe by the end of the year, hopefully, a full version where you can have your production-ready applications running already secured by this PRT algorithm.
So basically, you can deploy app chains on mostly all EVM chains like Ethereum, Base, Optimism, Arbitrum, etc. And I mean, it's and also it's a shared security because it's in the EVM ecosystem, right?
Yes, exactly. It inherits completely the security of the blockchain that is running on top of, right?
And what kind of app chains do you target? I mean, what does it make sense? What kind of apps do you see on Cartesi? More like consumer, more like DeFi, more like, where do you see?
That's a very good question. We have a very big scope. I don't know if scope is the correct word, but we have a very big array of possibilities of what we can build on Cartesi. You can build games, you can build DeFi tools, you can build exchanges if you want, you can build all sorts of things, all sorts of different things. We've seen even applications using AI, so running actually AI agents on chain, which is very nice as well. But there is basically, the idea is building anything that you wouldn't be able to build using Solidity, right? So if you need something a little bit more complex, let me give you an example. We had a guy building an application that's called DCA Monster, which is using dollar cost averaging to perform exchanges, right? But it does in a very, very small granularity. And it does like every second it's changing for you. The amount of transaction that this would need would be insane. On Solidity, you would be wasting so much in gas transactions, and then it makes so much easier on Cartesi. And you have to make calculations like dividing things to such small values that it gets very costly to do on Solidity in terms of gas costs, right? So there was another one that was a voting system that uses quadratic voting, right? Which kind of use logarithms, it allows you to have more ways of compute votes and do some of these calculations for DAOs, for example. And you wouldn't actually be able to, or you would have to put so much effort. You would have to put actually a whole research creating this whole library to be able to perform these computations, and it would still be more costly than something that you can do in literally, I'm not kidding you, 5 hours in Cartesi. So or even minutes if you already know what you're doing, right? So it's really nice.
And what exactly is the process from spinning up a Cartesi machine to running a full app chain?
we try to have a good balance of convenience and at the same time flexibility, right? So right now, the way that you can spin up is whenever you develop a solution, you develop in this Linux-like environment. So it's just like developing any other Web2 app ever. And you generate this image that is your application image. And you can just distribute it to anyone. While there is also another application that is the node application that people can spin up, and they can add applications, these images that the developers created, to their node. So their node starts validating specific applications that they choose, only the ones that they are interested in, right? They don't have to validate every application. It's built using Cartesi. That's the differential. That's why it becomes app chains and not general purpose chains, right? So they only validate what they want, and it's as simple as downloading an image and adding it to the list. It's very straightforward. We're actually developing the whole convenience and tooling around this right now.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of hard to spin up a chain, on your own. You need to raise funds, you need liquidity, you need validators. I mean, it's a lot of trouble when you can just, if you have something simple, you can just make an app chain and go on Cartesi and actually spin up faster everything, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's really convenient.
Yeah. Do you think like the future is verticalized app rollups or more like generalized infra layers?
So that's a very good question. I think there's no silver bullet here, right? I think there are applications that will need faster composability. They will need to have more integrations with other applications. So, and at the same time, they will not need to have such complex computations. It's a very simple exchange, for example. It's a absolutely simple game that you have to run. Then, of course, running on a general purpose environment works really well for you. But if you need something more complex, then you have to balance your trade-off there. If you need, for example, to run a game, we have this huge application called Rives, which is so awesome. Rives.io. It's a virtual console where people can develop their own games and put there, and you can play games that are built with so many different languages. They have a full SDK there. We have games like Doom running there. So yeah,
the OG one.
Exactly. we had this people. I don't know who it was saying on Twitter. If Ethereum is the world computer, how come no one run Doom there yet, right? And there is this crazy developer on Cartesi, Eduardo Bartel. He's so good. He just said challenge accepted, and he made it possible. So if you need applications like this, if you need general computing, if you need to go a little bit away from DeFi, then I think app chains are the way to go.
Yeah, but basically, if you need to make something more complicated, I don't know, like World of Warcraft, just top of mind, even though it's 20 years old game, you will need probably to run your own chain, right?
Yeah, you can use your own app chain and just be happy with it. You don't have to create a whole. You don't have to recreate Ethereum. You can pick a decentralized sequencer that's very good and very fast with fast confirmations, attach it to a high-performing execution rollup like Cartesi, and then you can start writing fast transactions, doing complex computations, and one day, who knows, we'll be able to create our own MMO. Legend has it that Vitalik created Ethereum because his druid was nerfed on WoW, right? His character
I didn't know that.
Said, I don't like that, so I'm gonna create it. I don't know if that's true. I heard my friend saying this the other day, so I'm just repeating it here. But hey, this is the way we get there. It's with good scalability and app chains.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the only way. The only way is forward. But Yeah, I'm not a gamer myself, to be honest, but do you know any good games in the crypto space that actually make sense right now?
Yeah. So we did write there is the Rise that I mentioned, which is a very nice platform for. The purpose of it is having a verifiable gameplay, right? So you can do speed runs, have competitions, and as such, which is very nice. And there is another one that was created with Cartesi that I kind of have to, unfortunately, shill here. Sorry if I shill a little bit too much,
Shield it, bro, shield it.
but it's called World Tycoon. It's
Okay.
Do you know SimCity?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's
of
SimCity
course.
on chain. The cool thing is you deposit assets, you build your city, and if your city starts making money, you are making money. You know, you are multiplying those assets. If you're losing, you're
This is
losing
an
those
idea
assets,
that I like
right?
because usually all the games in crypto usually they didn't have an economy that makes sense because you're getting rewards in a token that had infinite sell pressure. So it wasn't a long-term vision. At some point, it's just gonna die, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and this is something that's very interesting because I like those kind of opportunities, and I like, even though I'm not a gamer, I like that in Counter Strike, which is not on chain, that it actually has a marketplace that is thriving and people are making money, a real economy. Let's say if you bring that on chain, it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, exactly. You're actually implementing monetary value to the thing, right? You are adding stakes. The game starts to get complex and get really interesting. Um, and then you can do crazy things with it. You know, you can create your city. You know that your city is a good city, that it makes money. You just export it as an NFT. You sell it to someone else, so people start building on top of that because you're doing transactions with that. It's a little insane, but it works. It's there's
Yeah, and I feel it really works best with the Dijon attitude in crypto. Dijon is one of those kind of games that could potentially bring them money.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Or those, I don't know, those oil chain folks back in the day. I don't know if you they like this Ponzi stuff, kind of. It's crazy. I love them. It's very cool.
It's good when you
By
can.
the way, are you bringing like casinos or stuff like that in Cartesi?
No, not yet. We haven't thought of anything like that, and we haven't seen any proposals or applications like that. But I would say it's possible. I would say it's very possible.
And what do you think about balancing a person's ideals and with the long-term business viability?
Oh, okay. So I think for crypto, all right, this space that is so decentralized, I think the way to build is to go open source. If you are not going open source, there is something that is strange in your solution because you're not actually contributing to with for the ecosystem, right? So I love that Cartesi is a fully open source project, mainly because I am able to share it with people. People can build on top of it. We had applications that we asked people to build open source, and then other people were able to fork it and create different things, but saving so much time and having such cool ideas. Honestly, I like the idea that security does not come from obscurity, right? You do not have to be hiding something to feel safe.
Yeah, that's a good
So
point.
I think for computer science that is also true. If you actually have a good secure algorithm, you don't need to hide it because mathematics will prove that it's safe.
Exactly.
So that's why I like the factor of the open source. And then the more brains you have, the best your solution is.
The
So
magic happens when people
exactly,
contribute.
exactly.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward. I mean, um, Besides the apps that you mentioned, do you have any cool app changes going live that really push Cartesi in front of the edge? I mean, how do the next 6 to 12 months look? You told me a little, but I'm curious to know more about the future, how people can contribute and actually build cool stuff with Cartesi.
So there are always different things going on. Our contributors are always creating new versions of the framework and improving it, right? In terms of apps, there is one that I'm really looking forward to see, which a friend of mine created. It's a sketch. I forgot the name of it, but it's a sketching tool that you're able to write. You are able to draw a sketch, and and this sketch is sent to your app chain, and the algorithm there evaluates the quality of it. So you can do some sketch competitions. There are many ways to be around it.
That's crazy.
It's really funny. You have this little model actually evaluating drawings, the precision of your drawing abilities. There is drawing canvas, which is also another drawing app. You actually draw and send to people, and people can draw on top of it. So it's like open source art, I would say, which is a lot of fun. And then you can mint NFTs and sell them. And of course, there is but for the next 6 months, I think the core team is really looking inwards and seeing what can be improved, right? I think this evolution, this new version of the framework that will have plugging PRT inside the node is something that will make all the difference. Because once we are in the first stage of what we call rollup, right? You have stage 0, stage 1, and stage 2, which is the evaluation that L2Bit gives, which is the level of decentralization, right? On stage 0, you have some you need to call yourself a rollup basically and post state roots to Ethereum. Okay, so and then on stage 1 you need some proof system, but you have training wheels. You have like a security council that can override some of the system emergencies. And then you have the stage 2, which is a permissionless fraud-proof system. That means there is no training wheels, the app runs by itself, and it's fully trustless. The idea is that for the next 6 months, we would be able to get there. I hope we get there with our reference tool, with our reference node, so people can actually finally go crazy on their apps, and we can have all of this on mainnet. Some of those are already on mainnet, but under consensus protocols or quorum protocols or authority protocols, which means there is one validator that dictates how it works. But having this on a permissionless, trustless way, that's the goal for the next 6 months. Because stage 2 it's not a measure of security. I learned that not long ago too, but is a measure of decentralization. And decentralization brings, I think it's I think it's where we want to get at in this whole ecosystem, right? It's the thing that is magical about Web3.
Yeah, and I mean, decentralization is different from everybody that I talk with. I mean, from some folks, decentralization means you have 1,000 validators across the globe. But some of them say like you don't need like this. I mean, decentralization sometimes looks like a wet dream, because the more decentralized you get, the more slower you get.
Mm-hmm. There is that famous trilemma, right? Which is decentralization, scalability. The thing is, I think there are solutions to that. I think having a powerful execution environment, if you do not have a problem with exit windows, for example, like assets going in and out your application, then you can reach high performance apps with great usability without needing to rely on more centralized solutions. I think, not gonna say who it was, I saw some very important person from the ecosystem saying the other day that a centralized sequencer shouldn't be called centralized. Like, it shouldn't make a solution centralized because it has a centralized sequencer. But I mean,
But do we have decentralized sequencers right now?
We do. Some rollups have centralized sequencers, right?
No, decentralized.
Decentralized?
Yeah.
People are working on it. There are protocols working on it. Avail is working on it. Espresso is working on it. There are solutions like...
Even MegaEth, I think, right? Even MegaEth, I think, right?
MegaEth, I think, is centralized right now. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I know at some point that being said they are gonna do decentralized sequencers.
Yeah, the goal is definitely to get there always. But I'm not sure if they are not decentralized right now. They might be already. But the thing is, we have to find ways to get there, because that's how we reach towards the ethos of the whole Ethereum community, the whole system, that the whole ecosystem that we joined, right? I think, but yeah, as I was saying, it's not, you can say that having parts of your system that are centralized are not bad, and that's totally okay. Like, oh, the system is still secure even though this part is centralized. You can say that, affirm that for some of the things, but you cannot say it's not centralized. It's still centralized. And if we want to be fully trustless and have no impacts on our solutions and have absolute security and get there in the dream of Web3, we have to start researching these things and doing these things, right? So
yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of Web3, because it's in discovery mode. It's a journey. We are experimenting, finding things out. This works, this doesn't work. Let's start from scratch. I mean, that's the beauty. That's why everybody is in crypto, because you don't know exactly where this path is gonna take you.
That's why having technical foundations and research and based on research is so important. That's why I think it's something that people should really look into, the protocols they use, into the applications they use. Do these people actually do research? This is like a key part of knowing you can trust a solution or a protocol that you're building on.
Makes sense. On a more personal level, what has been the hardest lesson you've learned since going full-time in crypto, joining Cartesi, and building in the upchain space?
The hardest lesson?
Yeah.
I think there are two. They're kind of even there. The first one is people who try to reinvent the wheel or do everything by themselves. They have much harder time. So for developers, I would say write pull requests, do not fork solutions. Try to collaborate instead of getting that part and then making our own on top of it. Sometimes just collaborating is easier and better for everyone. And then there is also the fact that I got a really hard time wrapping my head around the fact that there are too many different profiles that we have to deal with, right? There are validators, there are developers, there are users, and the language you talk to all of them, the things that you want to present for them to when you're trying to show something cool, they evaluate it on absolutely different, using different scales. So you have to be very prepared to talk to everyone, because you need all these people to get aligned to actually create something. It doesn't matter if you're a great dev and creating this absolutely complex solution, but no one wants to use it or no one wants to validate it. And it doesn't matter if you as a user want something that is not feasible or economically not viable for the validators to run, So things have to align, and you have to think of everything together as one.
Yeah, makes total sense. I mean, as I said, it's still experimental, man. So
Exactly.
we do what we have to do to just move forward.
Exactly.
But curious, what keeps you inspired to build here, and especially when the market chops, where market is doing bad, everybody's depressed. I mean, it's not. Maybe you could compare working in crypto like working in traditional finance, but it's much more different because the volatility is much higher. So the emotions are up, down, up, down, up, down. So you have to talk with people in the space, as you said, and maybe the market is doing bad, the portfolio is doing bad, maybe it's always moody.
Yeah, I think I think what you said is very true. You can clearly see the difference in the way people behave. Like on crypto Twitter, you see people actually mad when they are stressed about everything. They are not engaging that much. They are not happy, or they are just posting things from a stressed point of view. Their mind is all blurry, and when market is great, everyone's happy, and then out of nowhere, everyone's building the new best solution in the world. I think you have to find. I think the key is finding something that inspires you besides the market.
Money, yeah. Besides money, at the end of the day, that's it.
I think, that's it. I think for me, for example, I always liked research. I always liked the idea of creating something that no one else is doing. So when I see the people I'm working with releasing these new papers with ideas that no one thought of, or they thought it was hardly ever possible, but someone comes up with a new algorithm that just blows my mind, then I can kind of shut off the whole idea of how the market is going, and I can just see there is something beautiful coming in here, even if not for crypto. These techniques, like zero knowledge proofs, they can be used for other things in other areas, fraud proofs, bisection algorithms. These things, they can be used in other areas. I saw someone else using the Cartesi machine another day for something completely unrelated to blockchain. They just needed a deterministic environment on the web. So the guy used on the browser the Cartesi machine to create for a selective process for his company or something.
That's the goal, right?
So, yeah. So
building crypto so that people in non-crypto Web2 can use your solutions.
Exactly. So if you feel you're collaborating for the world, for the whole world, you will be happy independent of the market, I think. That's how I feel, at least.
Do you have like any routines, habits, non-negotiables that keep you grounded and high performing?
Do I have a what? Sorry?
Do you have like any routines, habits, or any kind of non-negotiables that keep you grounded and high performing?
If you asked me this like 1 month ago, I would say coffee, but I've been doing a really great job at stop drinking coffee so much. But honestly, I think reading a book, I think it's always good that you have books that teach you things, but it's always good to have storybooks as well, be it a detective book, be it a fantasy book, it can be a sci-fi book, whatever. a book that takes you away from the world, a book that allows you to completely turn off.
Disconnect.
Yes, exactly. Because in those moments you feel you learn things that you're not doing on your job, which is great. You have this change of perspective of life, and it really helps you with creativity. And I think for my job specifically, creativity is really important. And I was reading this research the other day that says that whenever you're reading fantasy books, for example, you have to completely imagine things that do not exist. And that forces you to work on your creativity, right? It's kind of like a muscle that you train and train and train. So I think for me is reading books that are not about personal improvement, but just to disconnect you from reality a little bit. That's what helps me the most.
In my case, I saw that those personal books, actually it's easier for me to read them than something that's fiction, because as you said, in fiction you have to put your wheels in motion sometimes. But when you read something that is like personal development, most of them you kind of know what it is. They are just, I don't know, putting new layers and bricks under the foundation that you already know. So it's more easier to read for me in some cases.
No, I completely agree, and I think those should be read, right? I think people have to work on themselves, but I think like just before sleep, the last 40 minutes before I sleep in my day, I read a book, and that helps me log off. It helps me log off.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
I do both. I don't think you should stop one because of the other. I think.
Yeah, of course. They should be complementary.
Yeah, exactly.
Joao, we are entering the last chapter of the podcast, and we want to wrap things up with some rapid fire questions.
Oh, nice.
So basically, to see where your head's at when it comes to crypto. So for this, just quick top of the mind answers.
Okay.
What's a paper, non-crypto book, film, or mentor that shaped your leadership?
Non-crypto, right?
Non-crypto, yeah.
Captains of the Sand. Captains of the Sands. It's a Brazilian book from Jorge Amado. It helps you see the world as it is. It's really interesting.
Top 3 crypto apps that you use daily?
Top crypto apps? I would say Uniswap is a great one. I have to say Forecaster and Rives.
And
Rives,
what?
Rives is the game platform that I mentioned.
The game platform. Okay.
That one is. I love doing it. I do it with the team just for fun all the time.
Where do you feel we are in the market right now? Do you think it's the start of the bull run? It's the end? What do you feel?
I think this bull run, it is breaking the paradigm. It's different from every other one, so I think we're at the start of it, actually.
Yeah, the institutions are coming.
Yeah.
Gonna steal our internet magic money.
I think we're breaking the bubble. This time we're breaking the bubble.
Yeah. Advice to builders that wanna hop into Cartesi and build on general builders.
Advice for general builders, it's read the book, read the manual. My brother is also a developer, and he always said that to me. You really want to learn a language, you really want to learn a protocol, you really want to know how things work, read the book.
Yeah, everybody wants to cut the corner, right?
Yeah.
Where can people follow Cartesi and start building today?
Main place, absolutely our Discord. Everything is in there. Our discussions are in there. Our meetings are in there. So anyone can just hop up and join and see what we're cooking live. So we don't hide anything from anyone. But our socials as well, our Twitter, every social network, we're there. Find us. but our Twitter is the best place for communications, I would say. And if you want to know what's new, what's happening even before we communicate it, our Discord.
Can people ping you and ask questions or something if they need any kind of help?
Of course, all the time. Please do. If anyone wants to learn anything about Cartesi, just talk to me, ping me. Anyone from my team will always be happy to help. Anyone from the protocol will always be happy to help. We love having people over. Come over.
That's a wrap, brother. Thank you for your time. It's been quite a journey that you guys had.
Yeah,
and it's just the beginning. That's the beauty.
Exactly. We're gonna make some big developments very soon.
Have a great one.
You too. Bye bye. Thank you so much for having me.
Bye bye.